Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. I hope you are all well, and gosh, I have hit a creative burnout, I'm afraid, and I'm struggling to find inspiration interiors wise at the moment, which is really sad, but I'm hoping I will get my bounce back soon. But you know, when you just hit that creative's block and you feel like there's nothing else you can do like in your space. I guess for me, in these periods of times when I feel really kind of underwhelmed by interiors or just a bit lost in the whole creative interior design space, I don't put too much pressure on myself to force myself to make kind of big decisions or to even like think about how I can change things around or whatever, because I just think by putting too much pressure on yourself you actually start to panic, and then you really start to make like wrong decisions for your space. So in this time, in this period of underwhelming interior design creativity, I find myself on Pinterest. I just find myself browsing all these kind of rooms or creating Pinterest boards, because I find that it really helps me to kind of look at other people's space to take inspiration and to think, oh, that looks cool, I wonder how that would look in my space. But I also don't put too much pressure on myself to, like, if I see something I like, doesn't mean I have to recreate it. It's just about getting back into the role of interior design and finding my flair again and seeing new and exciting things. So I thought today we could run through a few things I've been saving on Pinterest recently, and I can talk through what I like about them, why I like them, and use this time to get in a creative groove and see if I can get my flair back. I wonder if that will help. But yeah, let me know if you guys struggle with this kind of occasionally. It might be the change in seasons, it might be the change in, I don't know, coming up to Christmas. Lots of decorations are going to be coming out at Christmas time, so maybe it's my mind and my body's way of saying, take a minute to chill before all the Christmas decorations come out, and you've got to be in your A game for interior design and decorating. So anyway, regardless, we're going to go through some of my Pinterest boards today, and I'm going to show you my visions and my current style, what I'm loving at the moment. So at the moment I've got a few boards going on. So I've got my September wardrobe board, which is an ongoing one and has been added to since September. And I think it's interesting as well to look at how fashion also plays a part in your interior design style, especially with colours that you find, like if you gravitate toward monochrome colours when you're dressing yourself in the morning, then quite often or not I believe that will translate in your home. So whilst I've been feeling underwhelmed with interior inspiration, you can tune in to more fashion inspiration if that's your thing. It's my thing. I don't look like I am, but I am into fashion. I just feel like finding inspiration through imagery, whether that is fashion, home or travel, whatever it is the best way to kind of reignite your love for interiors again and your creativity and your outside the box thinking. So don't be disheartened if you feel like, God, I cannot stomach, or I cannot be bothered, or I'm not feeling inspired by interior Pinterest, side of Pinterest. Let your eyes wander onto art, or, well, art is kind of interior, but street fashion or hair or pottery or whatever it is. You'll find inspiration for your interiors within those, kind of subconsciously. But anyway, back to my inspo. So this is my 2023 flat inspiration. So I tend to have very broad Pinterest boards, but I think I definitely need to hone in on those. Once I get an idea or something, I can then create a more niche Pinterest board. But the first picture is on the screen now. I loved in this picture just how cozy it feels, and I don't know whether this is because we're gravitating into more cozier interior feel and textures because it is autumn and winter. But I love how they've played with height and the different colours that they've used in the kind of skylight that they've got. I think that's really clever to have the trim of the doors and the skirtings, all that kind of lovely green colour. And then they've also painted the skylight inside of the skylight that same green colour. Ties it in really, really nicely. And it's interesting because obviously where they've got the skylight in that room, there's no real need for an overhead light in the day. So instead of a light there that you would usually have in the middle of the room if there wasn't a skylight, they've popped a big plant, and I think that is so cool. It adds a real naturist feel to the space and adds a bit of life into there. The vintage rug I think looks beautiful. It ties in the mahogany from the bits of wood furniture they've got in there, the console table and the cabinet in the corner. Those lovely reds along with the dark cherry mahogany wood ties it in really, really nicely, which is surprising because I wouldn't usually put red and greens together, but I think it really works with the kind of vintage feel of the rug. If it was more of a modern piece, I think you'd definitely feel as if it was clashing in the space, but because it is worn in, you can see it's more of that vintage feel. It blends into the space really nicely, I think. And it's one of those hallways where you wouldn't be nervous to walk in with your shoes on, if that makes sense. It looks worn in, it looks at home, it looks homely, it looks like the owner isn't precious around kind of people wandering in with their shoes on. I'm a shoes off kind of girl at the door, but there's nothing worse than kind of walking into a space and feeling like you can't touch anything. It feels like a showroom, but this doesn't. This feels like you're walking into someone's home. The next one on my list is more of like, again, I've seen it and I've seen something that I really like. It's just a door. It's a hallway with a door, essentially, is the photo. But I love the pink, and I'm not a pink girl at all. It's not really my cup of tea in interiors. However, I am creating a pink cushion cover, so that is subject to change, obviously. But I like the odd nod to it here and there, but I don't really like it as a focal point. However, as you can see from this picture that I've got on the screen, the panels of glass in this door just really caught my eye. I like the fact that they've used a door what otherwise could be a really boring plain glass door. They've used that lovely pink and slightly darker pink and lighter pink as a way to draw that light in and to draw a different type of light into the space. I think it's really special. I think it's beautiful, and I just thought it deserved a mention in here. And it's definitely inspired me to use more pink in my space, which is interesting because, as I said, I don't really use pink and I don't really like pink. But maybe when I saw this pink in this glass door, maybe that was what inspired me to create the pink cushion covers. Who knows? But this is what I mean, like having this time to just sit and research is super important because it sparks ideas that you thought you would never come up with, I don't know, thinking yourself. You've got to see the inspiration to kind of resonate with it and then put it in your space. So yeah, I love that one, so good. This picture is like coziness times 10, I feel like. The texture of the ceiling, the slatted ceiling, and the spotlights in the ceiling versus the bookshelves on the wall, and the wall all being kind of different shades of wood is so cozy. And for me, that is like the ultimate desk goals, to have all those books above your head and surrounded by this lovely texture and warmth of wood and different colours. I think it's lovely. I also like the fact that they've got that same kind of reddish vintage looking, I don't think that's a vintage rug. Similarly to the first picture that I showed you, just tying in those real warmer tones from the wood to make it feel like a warm space rather than a cold wood, if that makes sense. I don't like really ashy wood. I think it can make a space feel really cold and not very homely whatsoever. But by adding those pops of red, greens with kind of red undertones, really helps the wood kind of pop and feel warm rather than that horrible cold feeling. But yeah, the linen curtains are a really nice texture to add against the hard wood, and I would take that any day. And I also think you can see underneath the desk there they've got stainless steel or silver fixtures, so electrical fixtures, and that contrast between metal and wood I think works really, really nicely as well. It's those small details, and I'd love to do it in the flat, but it's just so expensive to do, and well, it's not that expensive, but it's just not on the priority list. This is not my forever home, but if it was, then those are the sorts of things I'd be pulling in to switch out to more high-end looking and feeling, rather than the cheap plasticky things that are currently on the wall. Just really lifts those parts of the space and makes it feel super elevated and expensive. And I think, yeah, that is another aspect of a photo that I've spotted that has sparked me to think, oh, that would be lovely to do, but not in this place, unfortunately. Lol at one of the comments, perfect, except it's not my house. Yep, totally resonate with that. This next one I'm looking at is literally just a picture of a armchair and footrest against a bookshelf, and then I think the kitchen is behind. This picture really appealed to me because of the contrasting colours on the footrest and the armchair, and it's something that I'd really like to incorporate in our space. So at the moment we've got a blue velvet or navy velvet sofa, which is really missing a footstool. And I think what I want to do with that footstool is to do another velvet, maybe a contrasting colour, but matching the piping to the sofa. I think with this one, it's obvious that they've got quite a neutral home, so a neutral background with the white bookshelf. They've got a black and white kitchen behind, but having that pop of colour and the contrast of colour on the soft furnishings has really brought a bit of colour and warmth to the space, and that's something that I really enjoyed from this photo, was looking at, yeah, the contrasting colours, the starkness of the red versus the pink. I think it's really nice. Personally, I wouldn't go for a pink armchair, I think it's too much pink. However, the contrasting colours and velvet and playing on those textures against the harsh kind of white wood behind works really nicely, and is something that I don't think you should walk past, definitely. My parents had a armchair. It was like a fuchsia pink with turquoisey blue piping, or where was it the other way? No, it was fuchsia pink with turquoise piping around it. That was my favourite part in their living room, because everything else was quite neutral, but that pop of colour was so lovely and looked so great. I didn't feel like speaking to them for a week after they reupholstered that chair to a more neutral colour. I was quite cross with them. C'est la vie. Yeah, if I can find a picture, I'll put it in here, because it was a really lovely chair. Still is a lovely chair, but I preferred it in the contrasting piping and velvet colours. The next photo that I'm showing you is from the AD tour of Dakota Johnson's home. That I literally have no words to explain my love for her home. I think it is so, so cool, and it's just so nice and refreshing to see a young woman with such cool interior design taste. I just feel like a lot of celebrities go for this kind of real stripped back, basic, clean aesthetic, greys, whites, beige, you know, but Dakota is just so old. I feel she's so old school in her style and fashion sense, even the way that she dresses. And that really translates into her home. Her home is very obviously mid-century, but there's so much personality and history of her family or family friends. If you watch the video on YouTube, you'll see her talking about artwork from one of her family, and she's got a pop figure of Barbs from Stranger Things on her bookshelf because she thought she didn't have enough airtime or something like that. I love the fact that she's not taking herself too seriously, and I think that really shows in her space and how homely it feels, even just looking at the photos. But yeah, I mean, I've taken a lot of inspiration from her space, definitely with the cherry kind of red woods, like real rich red, orangey woods, textures, plants. You can tell she's definitely an advocate of kind of reusing old pieces of furniture or buying secondhand. She mentions in her tour that she is not afraid to buy secondhand. I think that's testament to how her house feels. It's got character and just feels like a really nice space to be in. Lovely, lovely home. The final picture that I have to show you guys is a bathroom. So I have a dark bathroom and it's the best thing I ever did in the bathroom. Low budget, kind of making an impact sort of thing in a small room. It kind of feels a little bit farmhousey, a little bit, and I think that's probably due to the marbly countertop and then the faucets that they use, the fixtures, etc. But I like it, I really like it, and I like the kind of prop styling that she's done here, and I also like the light that goes, that's just to the left of the mirror, and just having the one light I think also looks really cool. The asymmetry of it plays on the space really nicely. I think if there were two lights it would feel too cramped. There's not enough space there for two lights, but it adds that warmth, and I think that is something that I'll definitely take away and put into my space, is having a light wired into the wall in my bathroom. I think having the overheads is obviously important for general lighting, but having sconces or wall lights or however you call them makes it feel super cozy and is great for a bath. Really relaxing in the bath environment with just a lower level of light. I think that shouldn't be overlooked in the bathroom. I know we don't overlook it in everywhere else in the house, but the bathroom especially can feel super sexy and modern and cozy with some warmer, lower level lighting. So guys, I hope that is a good insight as to some of the things I've been looking at recently in terms of research and Pinteresting. It helps me think a bit more clearly around my style and where I want to go next with kind of projects in the house, in the apartment. And also it helps me realise all the things I do really like about my current space and the things I appreciate, and also making those just slight tweaks here and there that help. Maybe it's just jiggling things around in the space. To be into interior design, you don't have to make these massive changes all the time. It can just be these small little touches that help really refresh your space and make it feel like a whole new environment, and one that's really super cozy and homely. Let me know what you do to get out of an interior design slump. I'm very interested to hear your opinions and take your advice. And now I'm gonna go and finish my Diet Coke because this has been glaring at me the whole time, bubbling away. And now, talking for like 20 minutes makes you so thirsty. So good.